A lot of people have chosen LPVOs for their versatility for engaging close quarters as well as medium-range targets, but this one was designed with long-range shooters in mind. This is the Riton 5Tactix 1-10 power first focal plane LPVO that we're going to take a look at on this episode. Let's start by seeing what you get, but let's skip the typical unboxing video and let me just show you what you get inside of the box. And it has an MSRP of $9.59 US. This is the Riton 5Tactix 1-10 power by 24mm first focal plane LPVO. And let's take a closer look at this scope. And I have to hand it to Jeremiah and the design team over at Riton. I got a chance to see this whole new redesign of their scope line, and they've done a really good job. It's got these very distinctive angled cuts on all of your tactile surfaces, and really not all the control surfaces per se, but all the places that you'd handle that you need to get a grip on, because this does provide a very good surface grip. So even in wet or in glove conditions, you'll be able to manipulate these things like your caps and take them off. And it comes with front and rear lens caps. And let's just pop off the front here and take a look. These are threaded, so if you need to put a kill flash or want to put a kill flash on there. And let's take a look at the rear here. And it also has those distinctive angled cuts on the back here. It comes pre-installed with a CO2232 or 2032 coin battery, and it has 6 levels of illumination with an off in between, so that's nice. We'll take a look at that reticle and illumination a little bit later, but let's take a look and listen to these turrets here. And these are nice wide fat turrets, so it's easy to turn them and not go past your intended mark. A little lower profile and a little harder to see the numbers, but let's just, oh yeah, quite audible and quite tactile positive. I can definitely feel each of the clicks without any slop at all. And each of the clicks is 1/10 of a mil, by the way. And these turrets are resettable. It comes with Allen keys, so you can pop these off and reset them if you need to. And our elevation, a little less loud and a little less tactile feedback on there, but still quite clear as far as indicating which clicks you've adjusted and how many you've adjusted there. And this is a 34mm tube, and Riton's really known for making very wide range of adjustment scopes, so we'll take a look at that later as well. And let's just feel this magnification ring here. Nice and smooth. And by the way, this is a unique feature of Riton. This is their patented lever fin. I forget what the name of this thing is, but this is a design that they chose to use on their scopes instead of using a screw-on throw lever, and they've used this slide-on, basically a very tall raised fin that functions like a throw lever. There is 2 set screws in here. It comes with an Allen key to unlock that, so you can loosen those up, slide this off, and change your position. And this is so depending on how you like to run your scope. Let's say if you like to be on your sweet spot of about like 4 or 5, you'd have your position of your fin there. That way, when you grab it to change your magnification, when you get it into a natural position there, just above your mount, you'll always land on the 4. Or if you like to run it at 1 and 10, you just switch the position there so that when you turned it, and you would always land on your maximum 10. So again, depending on your preferences for how you like to run your scope, you can change the position of that throw fin. And let's just feel oh yeah, that's butter smooth too. Oh, and it does have an indicator dot. So that's useful because you can just note where you like to have the position of your ocular for the best focus on a given distance. So let's say if you know that this is correct for you, you know that that indicator dot is right above the end. So there you go. And this is a very large ocular piece of glass on here. And just look at the difference here between your objective and your ocular. With such a large lens and bell at the back here. That in practice or theory means that you will have a very wide field and clear field of view, and basically that the scope disappears when you're looking through this at low power. But we'll try that out and see if that theory holds out in practice. So there you go. Let's take it out to the range and outdoors and test this puppy out. Let's start by taking a look at 1 power. And the hardware you're seeing here is the camera mount attached to the scope and not the scope itself. At 1 power, you should get your best overall image in terms of sharpness, contrast, brightness, saturation. In fact, when you look at the sky inside of the scope versus outside of the scope, I can't tell a difference. In fact, my first impression of the optical image was, this is really sharp. It's like looking through a freshly cleaned window. Looking at the footage again, I noticed that the outside world is not in sharp focus in my camera. You can adjust this with a diopter so it's not noticeable with the naked eye. Now I'm going to increase the magnification about halfway to 5, and you'll notice the reticle enlarges because it's on the first focal plane. We can start to see the stadia and markings of the long-range reticle come into view. Let's bring it up to 10 power, and we're looking at the peak of Mount Davidson over 1 kilometer away. Surprisingly, we didn't lose a lot of light. It's still pretty much as bright inside of the scope as it is outside of the scope. There is some chromatic aberration. I can see that as the purple fringe along the tree line as it meets the sky there. But there's good detail. In fact, you can make out at near the bottom right of the Christmas tree there's a white object sticking up above the bush line. That is a 30-inch tall trail marker sign, but that's a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance, about 1,400 yards. Now, while most people would never use an LPVO to engage targets at this distance, this is set up that you could potentially, if you had the right rifle, the right caliber and loading. Do you think you could hit that steel at this distance? Let me know. Leave me a comment. The next day, I took it out to the range, but we had some inclement weather, so pardon the rain. Alright, we're looking through the Riton at 1 power at a target downrange 100 yards away. And from what I can tell, you can see here from the pole there at the very edge of our sight picture there isn't any significant distortion. So 1 power isn't giving you very much fisheyeing or distortion, so that's a good thing. While we're still at 100 yards, let's just take a look at our range of adjustments. Let's start with our elevation. Okay, and that's the top. Quite a bit. Okay, and that's our bottom. I think that's centered. Well, let's see our windage. Okay, quite a fair bit as well. That was all the way to the right, and let's go back to our left. Okay, and that's all the way to the left. I believe that's zeroed out. Well, let's find out. Let's zoom in to our 10 power. We should be fairly close to the center of that top right target, hopefully. Alright, let's do a quick box test here. We'll do a full rotation in our elevation, full rotation on our windage, back on our elevation, and back to 0 on our windage. Next, let's take a look at the illumination on that reticle. So let's bring this back down to 1 power because I'm probably going to be using that illumination more at 1 power. And let's go to 1, off, 2, off, 3, off, 4, off, 5, off, 6. And let me just bring this over. Not quite daylight bright, and this is an overcast day, so it's not like red dot bright. And even on the blank wall, it's looking a little washed out, but probably better with it off. But let's zoom in actually so you can take a look at this first focal plane reticle. And 1, off 2, off 3, off 4, off 5, off 6. And again, let's look at the dark area between the targets just so to give you a good sense of what a very low light or dusk kind of illumination would look like. And I'll just turn that off. All right, let's bring this out to 50 yards and see what those targets look like. All right, we've moved up to 50 yards and we're looking at the same reference target. And we can see on the edge of the white target backing a bit of purple fringe. We're pretty much at the edge there where it's meeting the darker background. That is a chromatic aberration, kind of a prismatic effect of light bending into different colors, and that can cause a perceived loss in overall sharpness. But we can see just overall the image is bright and good color balance based on the color chart on the top left. On the bottom left, we're looking at the paper target there. I can easily make out the holes on the reactive sticker target, which is not surprising, but you can also see 2 additional holes on paper below that sticker target. These are small 22 caliber holes, and that's a good indication that there's a good overall sharpness in this class. And looking from a more objective standpoint, let's take a look at the U.S. Air Force optical resolution chart on the bottom right. With my naked eye, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines down to element 1 or perhaps element 2 if you had sharper eyes than my old eyes. Element 2 in group -1, which is pretty good. All right, before we get started talking about the Riton 5Tactix, I just want to ask you to please hit that like button right now. It just takes a second to hit the like button. And subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost anything to hit that subscribe button. They won't charge you when you do that. But what you're doing is you're telling the algorithm that this is good content that you enjoy watching. And if you haven't already, hit that bell icon and you'll be notified when I post my next product review video, which might be another cool optic like this one. And this is a cool looking optic, I have to say. Riton did a great job in redesigning their entire product line, their industrial design, with this very unique twist groove pattern. Is not just cool looking, it's very practical because it is a really aggressive pattern that gives you a really good grip on all your control surfaces. So, great job there. And optically, really good job as well. As I've noted, at 1 power, this is really super clear. I know there's only a few other optics that I got the same first impressions similar to this, or like the Vortex Razor or the Night Force. Like them, this is a really clear, almost like you're looking through a freshly cleaned window in terms of your view at 1 power. Though there is one peculiarity that I noted. At 1 power, the view I was getting from this was actually wider than 1 power, at least perceptually to me. You run an LPVO with both eyes open, but I'd close one eye just to compare to see if the view looks the same. And my view through the scope was actually, the objects looked a little bit smaller than with my naked eye. So I actually had to crank this up to like 1.1, 1.2 on its magnification wheel to get it so that it looked 1:1. I don't know if that's a peculiarity of this particular sample that I have, and I'll definitely be contacting Riton about that. But if you happen to own a 5Tactix, let me know in the comments if it's similar, if your particular optic has the same peculiarity or not. Maybe it doesn't, or maybe it's just my eyes. I certainly don't have 20/20 vision. But one other thing, at 1 power, while the view looks great, the reticle, not so much. The reticle is super, super thin at 1 power, so much that I really had to really hunt for it. And you really don't, that's not something you want in an LPVO, which is designed to be a combat optic where, you want to have quick target acquisition and quick aiming. This doesn't have a very visible aiming point. It's just super fine, almost like a target, a long distance target reticle. And even a fully illuminated, which helps. But the illumination's not super bright on this at 1 power, so, or overall. It really start to look better at 5 power when everything scales up. Then the reticle starts to be usable, in my opinion. And again, that's my opinion. Ask 10 different people their opinion on a reticle and you'll get 20 different opinions. But it really does come to its own when you get it to 5 plus, and especially 10 power, where the reticle really is optimized for long distance shooting with the Christmas tree and your holdover points. Then that's great. But even then, at 10 power, and if you're shooting this long range, it's missing some key elements that I think long range shooters would prefer, like having an exposed elevation turret so they can adjust for additional distance dope. So yeah, that doesn't have that, and it doesn't have a fine adjustment for the parallax. It's a fixed parallax at 100 yards, but if you're shooting past 100 yards, yeah, it looks pretty sharp. It's hard for me to tell. The 1,000-yard view looks pretty sharp, but could it be a little bit sharper? Maybe not. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. So yeah, I wonder who exactly this particular optic is designed for, because for your average shooter who's shooting, fairly short to medium range, yeah, it kind of lacks for that kind of use. Maybe for recon work, maybe? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you have an idea of who this scope would be best suited for and what kind of role. I want to thank Riton for sending this out to me. I think it's still a great piece of glass here, but I hope you take my criticisms well and help inform you as to how to make additional improvements on this, or to identify the appropriate target market for this. So anyway, thanks again, Riton, and thanks again to you for watching this. And if you're interested in picking one up, because maybe you are the absolutely right market for this optic, I'll include product links and more information in my written review on my website at moondogindustries.com. So definitely check that out. And thanks again for watching. Moondog, out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.